Israeli tanks have surrounded Gaza's Indonesian hospital as Israel's military continues its relentless assault on the Gaza Strip's health infrastructure. Egyptian television showed ambulances carrying sick and premature babies passing through the Rafah border, crossing to Egypt, after the UN assisted in moving 31 premature babies from Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital to Rafah on Sunday. UNICEF warned the babies' conditions were incredibly fragile after the multiple moves in extremely dangerous conditions. Other babies died as medical services collapsed at Al-Shifa. Doctors say babies had to drink formula prepared with contaminated water, further endangering their survival. A number have infections. A World Health Organization, healthcare workers sacrificing everything to treat patients. Over the weekend, reports emerged that talks between Israel, the U.S., and Qatari mediators for Hamas were hostages and paused fighting for 5 days. Yemen's Houthi rebels say they seized a Japanese cargo ship in the Red Sea. The vessel, named Galaxy Leader, is reportedly partially owned by an Israeli businessman. Around 25 people are believed to be on board the India-bound ship, though Israel said none of their citizens are among the crew. A Houthi spokesperson warned the international community regional security is at stake unless it helps put an end to the war on Gaza.
The Yemeni armed forces confirmed the continuation of carrying out military operations against the Israeli enemy until the aggression on the Gaza Strip stops and the ongoing heinous crimes against our Palestinian brothers in Gaza and the West Bank cease.
In Argentina, far-right libertarian Javier Milei has been elected president. Official results Sunday showed Milei, who's been compared to Donald Trump with 56% of votes, defeating the centrist Peronist candidate Sergio Massa, who conceded defeat. Milei is a climate crisis denier who's proposed banning abortion, easing restrictions on guns, and vowed to shut down Argentina's central bank, replacing the nation's currency with the U.S. dollar. Milei has also questioned the tally of murders committed by the Argentine military dictatorship during Argentina's dirty war from 1976 to 1983. He spoke from Buenos Aires Sunday night.
Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera, aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
La situación de Argentina es crítica.
Argentina's situation is critical. The changes our country needs are drastic. There's no room for gradualism. There's no room for tepidity. There's no room for half measures.
In Liberia, the incumbent president, George Weah, conceded a tight race to Joseph Boakai Friday. Voters say Weah was not able to fulfill his promises of reducing poverty, increasing employment, and stepping corruption. Boakai, a former vice president under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, had lost to Weah in 2017's presidential election. In a post-election interview, Boakai vowed to redistribute wealth from the exploitation of Liberian resources to its citizens. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott is expected to sign into law a bill approved by lawmakers last week, allowing local law enforcement to arrest immigrants and asylum seekers and charge them with a new state crime for crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. The bill would also give Texas judges the authority to issue removal orders to Mexico. Meanwhile, other legislation passed by the Republican-majority Texas House last week would appropriate $1.5 billion to build a border wall. The ACLU has condemned the measures, calling it, quote, some of the most radical anti-immigrant bills ever passed by any state. In British immigration news, the UK Supreme Court ruled the government's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda was unlawful. The proposal was first announced last April and met with swift legal challenges and condemnation from rights groups. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he would instead seek a formal treaty with Rwanda and introduce emergency legislation in hopes of pushing through the plan. In the Horn of Africa, at least 130 people have been killed after unrelenting heavy rains triggered once-in-a-century flooding in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia.